direct response marketing. You know, why? What is it? Why do we have it? How do we use it? What the hell do we do with it? Like, what do we do when we know how to read books and write sales letters? And then what? You know, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to be a copywriter. We're supposed to leverage this copywriting into some other skill or some business and whatnot. And so hopefully this video series will really be able to help you understand and clear that up and understand where we're headed, but also where we're coming from. And so I wanted you to recognize everything that you can use and the potential that you have these days with direct response marketing. What's up, Motive and Motion family? Today we're going to come over the basic effect of direct response marketing, as well as the history of it and why a lot of people started this direct response movement and the marketing style that they chose to write ads in, and a little bit of the history of the main perpetrators of this art and this science mixed together, and the reason that you should be using it and understanding why you can apply it to your own business, especially when you're just starting out. So a lot of people actually wonder, what is direct response marketing? How do you use it? What does it mean? What does the term even mean? And we'll start out today by explaining what it actually means and how you can use it into your business. And then we'll dive into a little bit of the history and the main figures that perpetrated it and continued it and ran some of the biggest ad agencies in the world. And you'll get a better grasp on why it's so vitally important for every business owner, not just small business and not just online, not just e-commerce, but every business owner should really be using this in one form or another. So what is direct response marketing? So direct response marketing is simply that, contained in the title. It just means you're looking to get a direct response from someone. You're looking to get a response. You're looking to elicit a response to an ad, as in a sale. You're looking to get an opt-in. You're looking to get a callback. You're looking to get someone to elicit a toll-free call-in. Any type of response that you're actually eliciting from these marketers or from your marketing pieces as a marketer is called direct response marketing. So you've seen it in millions and millions of ads that you're inundated on a monthly basis, or you've seen it on the billboards of call us now, about call in right now, about the direct mail pieces that you throw into the trash that you don't even notice or don't even want. Those type of things, those are the things that you're actually ignoring direct response because maybe it's, it's not targeted to you, or you don't care, or it's not relevant. But when it's asking you to tear off a piece of your sheet that you got in the mail after you open the envelope because you wonder what's inside, that's direct response marketing in action. Those people are they're paying to actually put their advertisement in front of you. Maybe it looks like a piece of information or a bunch of articulate information in one article, and it's actually trying to get you to respond in some way, shape, or form. So you've seen it on millions of ads and millions of websites, millions of billboards, millions of newspapers, and the creator of that actual cutout, the coupons, is scientific advertising author Claude Hopkins. He's the one who actually created a lot of these phenomena, including the coupon cutout for direct response ads inside newspapers, inside the magazines. So getting into a little bit more of the history is a lot of the authorities on this type of marketing, a lot of the people who own huge advertising agencies in Chicago and New York, like Young and Rubicam and Ogilvy and Mather, and a lot of these other big ones like J. Walter Thompson. These were multi-million-dollar corporations way back in the early 20th century. And if you can picture for a moment that the early 20th century was zero internet, was only direct mail, slow snail mail, still riding horses and carriages around, and having buggies and the Model T Ford just rolling out. And this was a time where people were writing ads to convince other people to buy their products, whether it was their car, their piano, the violin, the musical instruments, the food, whatever it is, the old brands of toothpaste, things like this. These are the famous, massively profitable ads that, where did they come from? Where did they come from? They came from copywriters, they came from direct response marketers, they came from the ad agency owners and the execs and the CEOs. And this is because the clients themselves would seek out companies for selling their ads and selling their products and being able to get them to the mass market or target their audience and be able to speak, to convert. And they were wondering, how do we do this? We don't know how to do this. And some of the big heads in this industry, including David Ogilvy, came over from London, started his own agency after he was actually too shy to apply to one of the big ones, and he just stood in awe of Rubikim's agency because a man named Stanley Rubikim was actually his mentor, his conscience, as he says, and one of his main mentors for every single position of marketing, whether it was copywriting or working with the art directors for actually designing the magazine pieces or the posters that they had. And men like this were pivotal to the advertising agency, and as well as how it moves into what we have now in the 21st century in 2018, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But as far as the history goes for a lot more of this stuff, like J. Walter Thompson, a man named Stanley Resort was one of the men who basically built the industry, and he was one of the calm, collected individuals. A lot of these men had grandiose egos and big superiority complexes. However, they backed up their talk with their advertising that pulled millions and millions and millions of dollars way before the internet, and way before even some of these, way before direct mail was actually a popular thing back in Gary Halbert and Dan Kennedy's type of day when they were building that. And the reason this is so important is because we just mentioned a man named Stanley Resort, and this man turned his ad agency that he was working for from when he joined it, J. Walter Thompson, he joined it back in, I believe, the 40s or the 50s, and he turned that agency from $3 million per year in billing to over $500 million in the 40s, and that equivalates to billions and billions of dollars. And what's insane about that is that the inflation rate has gone up, roughly 3% every year since that time, and the fact that he was able to flip it for over $497 million just in his work, in the copy that he was writing and the ads that he was producing. Like, this is insane, because how many people do you know that are worth $500 million today? Even just worth that, we're talking net worth. How many people do you know? Probably not many, or maybe just a few people, or maybe you know of them. And yet this dude pulled in millions, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars over 50 years ago. Well over 50 years ago, closer to 70. And the fact is that he was able to do this through the power of his words, the power of his copywriting sales skills and abilities. And the fact is that these big brands, these big agencies hired a lot of other people down the line. So it was built by, the whole industry was built by these men like Stanley Rubikim, and the person that he partnered with, John Orr Young, to make Young and Rubikim, which is one of the most highest paid ad agencies in the entire world, still operating today, as well as Ogilvy and Mather. And Stanley Resort was another one of that who created the industry from the ground up. Albert Lasker as well, one of these men with this superiority complex, the huge ego, but the fact is that he pulled in hundreds of millions of dollars with his advertisements as well. And some of these men were responsible for the transformation of brands like Marlboro and Pepsodent and Palmolive, and big companies that weren't so big in the past, but they came to these companies, and these clients, as clients, they came to these advertising agencies, and they had their campaigns flipped into hundreds of millions of dollars down the road. And not only that, they had that flipped into a memorable brand for decades and decades. So this is why direct response marketing and the history of it is so important, so valuable for us to study and learn, because we're literally picking up the pieces, that the railroad tracks, if you will, that paved the whole industrial revolution. And I don't mean that literally, but I mean that these are the type of men who were out there figuratively building the railroad tracks that would later become the steam engine, the train, the massive trade of billions of dollars out throughout America. The idea of transforming trade and commerce and impacting the whole structure of the environment, of the way that you actually sell to another human being. Because all they had back then was basically just advertisements. They had posters, they had newspapers, of course, the printing press, they had the posters that were up, and the banners that would be displayed around town, or displayed inside a magazine or inside a popular newspaper, or cutouts of little advertisements in the newspaper. And yet this pulled in hundreds of millions of dollars because they were able to simply get in front of the people and write in a direct response style and boost sales. And it was simple as that. It really was not super complicated. And it was actually far less complicated than we look at it today with online marketing and funnels and digital marketing and ads and being the, like reframing, retargeting, like everything that you're considering is a new piece of an old fundamental, an old habit, an old foundation that was built by these men and built by these advertising agencies. So what we're talking today, this is going to be a series. This is really what is direct response marketing. In the direct response marketing series, part 1, this is understanding where all this came from and recognizing how powerful direct response marketing is today, and it also was back in those days. We mentioned David Ogilvy in the past, and this is a man who came from England and made his start in New York primarily. In the United States of America, he got his clout as a copywriter. He made his name as a copywriter with a few other people. And as I said, he was mentored by Raymond Rubicam. Stanley Razor was another guy. Raymond Rubicam is the person who was mentoring and being the conscious of David Ogilvy. And basically he was getting his name as a copywriter as he paired with other people to make his own advertising agency, because like I said, he was a little bit too shy to even apply to the big ones. And the ones that he stood in awe of, he just couldn't bring himself to apply. So he figured out how to get clients of his own, and he had a whole host of very famous clients that you would know if I mentioned the names nowadays. And the fact is that he started with absolutely zero. He had nothing. And he was able to build his name as a copywriter for bringing in millions, tens and millions of dollars of ads of himself. And one of his most successful ads that raked in tens of millions of dollars was the Rolls Royce ad. You know, at the famous headline of at 60 miles an hour, the loudest noise you hear from the cabin or from the inside of this Rolls Royce is the electric clock. So even just in that headline, he's saying a lot of different things and a lot of different status triggers and wealth appreciation, wealth attraction type of ideas for the person who's on the level of buying such a high-class automobile. And this is the reason that he was able to make a revolutionary mark. And he wrote his own books and he wrote his own ideas down in these manuscripts that he later on published. And even before him, he took a lot of notes from Claude Hopkins, the author of Scientific Advertising. And in fact, he said that no marketer worth his salt should really be able to be allowed to touch advertising of any type until he read that book, Scientific Advertising, 7 times. And Jay Abraham these days as well is just like he's going over this idea as well, and he quotes it in it. A lot of people quote David Ogilvy for that. A lot of people quote Jay Abraham from that. And it's just the fact is that he said this book alone changed my life in advertising so much that I don't know how to recommend it highly enough. You know, he knew Claude Hopkins on a first name basis, and he was able to understand the way that he did his own ads. So this is really a powerful point that, you know, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, people were able to rake in hundreds of millions of dollars from these advertising campaigns. And the reason is because they leveraged direct response marketing. They created it and then they leveraged it. Too many people in those days were just showing a nice pretty picture, just like we have today with branding ads or awareness ads or content, and it's just like, here we are, and then nothing, and that's it, here we are. And that ad really doesn't do anything until you're at a certain level, until you have billions of dollars of ad spend and marketing campaign spend to specifically throw at keeping your customers' eyes on you at all time, keeping yourself top of mind, competing for mind share. These are different ideas that really don't have anything to do with direct response because people got lazy, people didn't understand. So these titans of wealth and titans of direct response marketing were able to build this industry from the ground up, and that's why we have what we do today. So if we fast forward a little bit into 1970, 80, 90 even, these are the times of blowing up of direct marketing, direct mail, snail mail. The land of Gary Halbert, the days of Gary Halbert, the days of direct response marketing using the same fundamentals that we had 50, 60 years ago and more, that Dan Kennedy was challenging. And Dan Kennedy was working with his own ideas and working on how to sell millions of dollars through mail, through simply mail. And usually the old format was, the thing that worked for hundreds of millions of dollars over these years, the days of Gary Halbert and Dan Kennedy and many others, that were just sending a lead generation piece. So maybe they send you a letter that you clip out with your scissors and you would fill it out and you send it in and you get a free report, which is primarily, you know, a sales letter. So it's like something that is sent that you put your hand up in, like an opt-in, like, yes, I would like more information for that. Same type of thing that was happening in direct response marketing for direct mail. And the reason that they were able to do so well with this is because they would send you something for free that you didn't ask for, that you didn't want, but they had a good idea of why you want this and who you are and what you what you kind of do. They had a good idea of what you like, what you want to do, what you're achieving in your life. Like maybe you're a doctor, maybe you make X amount of money, maybe you live in X amount of X community, XYZ community. You want to, I don't know, you have certain habits, like maybe you're a golfer, etc., etc. So they did this for the type of people that were learning their own habits and learning their own ideas of what they wanted to become, and they would send the direct mail piece to something that would coincide directly with that type of interest. So maybe if you're a golfer, like I said, you're able to, you know, pick up the habits of golf, and you're learning how to swing the club, and you're learning how to buy different clubs and go to different places to play golf. And these people would hit you with those targeted ads because they knew they would buy lists or they do their research, and they would hit you with the targeted ad that said, hey, do you like golf? Or are you interested in learning about how to do this and that, XYZ? And the example would here that I'm using might be like, would you like to improve your swing by 20% for free or something like that? Or would you like to learn how to meet high-level golfers that can teach you and help you mentor? Something like that. Something free, something adding value up front, just as we do these days with the email opt-ins and direct response marketing that we use today to get leads. And we would say, here you go, would you like this? And they would say yes, and they would like I said, clip out the little corner, the bottom corner of it, fill out their information, send it in back through direct mail, and then they would receive basically a sales letter. So people looked in this information and they said, oh wow, I'm learning a lot, like the headline is pertained to me, I'm interested in what this is talking about, I'm reading, I'm learning this information. And the fact is that they're being sold to that they don't really notice, or they don't mind, maybe because they recognize that this is what they're trying to learn. And then there might be a cheap product at the end of that, and that's basically the start of the funnel. They start to get a lead, they sell them something from a sales letter because they said they're interested, they raised their hand and said, yes, I'd like more information. And then they would sell them their first product, and that's how direct response marketing was working in the direct mail idea, the space, the time frame for that. And of course, David Ogilvy, as I said, he was a titan, he was a wealth titan for this type of marketing for so many years, that he was doing all this direct mail, and that's how we got our start. And Gary Halbert mailed some of the most successful pieces. Some of the letters that he wrote, like the coat of arms, were, I believe, rated over $500 million himself as well for that ad. He was one of the most high-paid copywriters on planet Earth, and really these days a lot of copywriters haven't even been able to scratch his legacy, and that's why people hand copy his hand letters and handwritten notes of the Gary Halbert letter, and that's why people subscribe, and that's why people take his ads, and basically they want to like ingrain their ads into his ads into their nerves, into their synapses, into their sinews, their bones, their actual psyche, so they can get those deep ideas of why and how to sell to another human being using direct response copywriting. So that's part of the reason this is so powerful. So this is why we're really starting this new series about direct response marketing. You know, why, what is it, why do we have it, how do we use it, what the hell do we do with it, like what do we do when we know how to read books and write sales letters, and then what? You know, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to be a copywriter, we're supposed to leverage this copywriting into some other skill or some business and whatnot. And so hopefully this video series will really be able to help you understand and clear that up and understand where we're headed, but also where we're coming from. Like what's the past of this idea, who built the industries, and you know, what are we supposed to do with it when we understand it, when we recognize it. And so I wanted you to recognize everything that you can use and the potential that you have these days with direct response marketing, because the fact is that it's very powerful and it's insanely helpful for any person who's starting an online business, anyone who wants to sell a service, anyone who's a consultant, anyone who is looking to sell a startup or a SaaS product, because they are needing direct response to get leads, to capture leads, to attract leads and then capture leads, to convert the leads, and then to keep the leads engaged, the customers engaged at that point, and then retain them, customer retention, and then follow up, and being able to continue direct response, and not just pounding them with offers after offer after offer, but being able to channel your power of copywriting and direct response marketing in these old school styles for the new realm, for 2018, for 2020, for 2025, for 2050, for all that matter. Like, these things are not going to die. The fact is, the majority of human behavior will simply not change in the next decade or 20 years or 50 years or anything like that. We're Homo sapiens. We've been Homo sapiens for roughly 200,000 years, and even before that it was Homo erectus for over 6 million years since our last break off from the chimpanzee, over 6 million years with the common ancestor. The fact is that human behavior is not going to change. We are primates, we are monkeys, we are Neanderthal, we evolved from Neanderthal. So the fact is that we recognize the human drives, even though often human drives are camouflaged in the verbal ideas and the speech that people have, and the patterns and the habits. We're recognizing that as direct response marketers, and just as marketers and business people and entrepreneurs, we are recognizing that human behavior is not going to change because humans need the same things and they want the same things and they are the same actual being. If you went down to the morgue and you pulled out a similar representation of a human being from just 100,000 years ago, which ironically is a blip on the radar scheme in the terms of history of the world and the entire earth, but if you pulled out 100,000 years ago from the morgue, you found a body of a Homo sapiens, that would be exactly the same. You would literally look like, yeah, it would be my neighbor or some kid I saw at the mall or whatever. It's the same body, the same structure. So my point is this. My point is the fact that we have this idea and this similar repeating human nature that's fairly predictable, and even though people say this, say that, we can really predict what humans need and what they want to better themselves with, or be stuck to their own devices to make themselves not better, the opposite of improvement. And so where am I going with this? So we're recognizing that we can predict human behavior in the future for the next 100 years, next 1,000 years. It's really not going to change that much. So what does that mean for marketing? It means that we can predictably line up marketing campaigns and copy that actually works and that predictably will bring us in the revenue once we actually research the market and we understand them. So simple thing is this, is that when we have direct response marketing, we have our target and we have a message and our actual product and our offer. So when we line these things up directly, we are able to make sales predictably and boost our business, double, triple, quadruple our business results in revenue and profits. And we're able to absolutely make a killing and make a massive impact on the people that we're actually selling to. The fact is that these days that I was talking about, and back in the 50s and the 40s, and even a lot earlier than that, Marlboro, for instance, they came just out of the blue because they were, I can't remember if it was J. Walter Thompson or which actual agency took them and made them a massive success, but they were pretty much irrelevant. And this is an impact that they made on the world. Marlboro, like cigarettes, it's like that person or whoever is the creator of Marlboro, who is the brand creator, is not helping the world at all, not selling anything that's helpful. It's cigarettes. They kill you, they give you cancer, they have rat poison inside, they got cyanide inside, whatever. The fact is that these people didn't care about that, but they were learning and recognizing and channeling direct response marketing to make hundreds of millions of dollars with their brand, and they still probably make, I don't even know the recent research, but probably billions of dollars every single year. And they're definitely spending that on advertising and marketing, staying in front of you. So the fact is that you can use direct response marketing for good or for bad, for hurt or for gain, or for the benefit of all. And the fact that I'm advocating is that you can use marketing and direct response style to actually make a difference in the world. That's what I'm doing, that's what I'm looking for, that's what I've always been motivated by. I don't think that it's worthwhile to be doing that in someone else's detriment, to someone else's detriment. It's just like we can use this to actually boost up everyone that we're involved with. So this has been the Volume 1, Part 1, whatever you'd like to call it, of Direct Response Marketing series. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know there's going to be a lot more in the series, and as well as if you actually click below, there's an entire article on this, over 3,000 words as well, on direct response marketing and the style, the copywriting on motiveandmotion.com, and that goes into some serious depth for why direct response marketing. There's a lot of things that I didn't say here that are more formulated. I'm pretty much going off the cuff of what I know, what I've researched, what I've studied, what I've experienced with my own ads and campaigns, but I'm basically just telling you what I know and what I've learned. So the thing is that that whole article will go way deeper. So if you're a reader and you'd like to check that out, go ahead and check the link below. I will link it to the article. So hope you guys enjoyed that. There are going to be a lot more in the series, and I want you to recognize, in short, that direct response marketing is very, very powerful. It holds a lot of potential if you know how to channel it and use it. And it's really not the only style. You know, there's content marketing and there's SEO and there's brand awareness and all this and that and all this, but if you're starting a business, you really need to make sales. You don't have a business, you have a hobby until you make sales. So if you're looking to start a business, you really need to learn how to sell someone. And when you're not face to face, you can't make a sales presentation and you can't overcome objections. You better learn how to do it in print. And salesmanship in print is the copywriting. And so that is what is encapsulating direct response. So until next time, stay tuned. The next part of this series will come out very soon, and there also will be another article linked into that one. So there's a lot of things that I've written about in direct response now, including why Jay Abraham and Dan Kennedy and all these big guys have risen to the top, how you can make money with their insights, how you can apply it to your own business, how you can boost your profits if you already have sales and profit that's doing well, but you don't know how to, you don't want to increase your marketing budget, you don't want to spend more, you just want to get more optimized and more focused, then you're going to want to check out motiveinmotion.com. Until then, this is Evan from Motive in Motion. I enjoyed making this video for you. Hope you guys have a great day.